What would you do if everyone you loved told you your marriage was doomed before it even began? Would you walk away, or trust Jehovah to hold you together? First, friends, I'm Rachel, and I'm so thankful you're here. Before I share my story, let me quickly pause to say a heartfelt thank you to all of you who have subscribed to this channel. Your support helps us bring more spiritually uplifting, dramatic true stories that strengthen faith. If you haven't yet subscribed, please tap that button and turn on notifications so you won't miss what Jehovah can do in real people's lives. Now, let me take you back to the beginning, before the whispers and the long nights, before the tears and the quiet fortunate. I first met Marcus on a warm spring afternoon in Dayton, Ohio. Our congregation was hosting a gathering in the park after field service. Kids were laughing over a game of frisbee, and older friends sat under a canopy swapping ministry experiences. I had just returned from a long morning in the ministry and was balancing a plate of sandwiches when someone gently said, "Need a hand?" I turned to see Marcus, tall, calm, with kind brown eyes and a smile that made me feel instantly at ease. We spent that afternoon talking about everything from our favorite Bible accounts to our shared dream of pioneering. He spoke with such quiet conviction about Jehovah's promises that it felt less like small talk and more like a glimpse of a future I hadn't dared to imagine. Over the next few months, we served together in the ministry, attended meetings side by side, and sometimes lingered in the Kingdom Hall parking lot just to keep talking. We both wanted a marriage built on Bible principles, not just on feelings. After prayer and counsel from trusted elders, Marcus asked me to marry him. I said yes with tears of joy. The joy of our engagement soon met the chill of disapproval. My parents, though polite, were uneasy. Rachel, my mother sighed one evening. Marcus is very strict with religion. Are you sure you want a life that revolves around meetings and door-to-door preaching? You're young. You should see the world a bit first. Some relatives were less gentle. At a family barbecue, an aunt pulled me aside and said, almost as if warning me, "Honestly, I give this marriage a year, maybe less. People like you live in a bubble. Real life will hit, and you'll both break." Marcus faced the same from his side. Old friends joked that he was signing up for a lifetime of boredom. Even a coworker told him, "Man, when the bills come, you'll wish you hadn't tied yourself to church rules." Their words were like small stones dropped into a still pond, each one sending ripples of doubt through our hearts. I found myself awake at night wondering, what if they're right? What if we love Jehovah but don't know how to handle real life together? Instead of letting fear take root, we chose to kneel, literally, before Jehovah. Every evening we prayed together, asking for strength and wisdom. During our personal study, scriptures leapt off the page with new meaning. Matthew 19 verse 6 comforted us deeply. What God has yoked together, let no man put apart. Isaiah 41 verse 10 whispered courage. Do not be afraid, for I am with you. Do not be anxious, for I am your God. I will fortify you, yes, I will help you. We also sought guidance from mature elders who had weathered decades of married life. Brother Harris, who had been married for 40 years, smiled and said, "Opposition often means you're on the right path. The world doubts what Jehovah builds. But remember, he doesn't just start a marriage, he supports it." Those conversations became like anchors. We didn't pretend the doubts were gone, but they no longer ruled us. When our wedding day arrived, late summer sunlight streamed through the modest Kingdom Hall. My heart swelled as I walked down the aisle and saw Marcus waiting. Steady, eyes bright with quiet joy. Yet even then, faint whispers floated around us. Let's see how long this lasts. I caught a cousin shaking her head with a knowing look. It stung, but when Marcus and I joined hands to exchange vows before Jehovah, the noise of doubt faded. I felt wrapped in something stronger than human approval, Jehovah's love. Our first kiss as husband and wife wasn't just a moment of romance. It was a silent declaration. We will trust Jehovah no matter what storms come. That evening, after the last song had been sung and the hall was empty, Marcus and I lingered alone for a moment. "Are you ready for all that lies ahead?" he asked softly. With Jehovah on our side, I said, "I'm ready for anything." We drove away under a canopy of stars, the sound of family chatter and distant music fading behind us. I remember gripping his hand and thinking, whatever trials come, we're not walking into them alone. As I look back on that first year, I realize how those early challenges shaped the core of our marriage. Each harsh comment, each doubt-filled night, became an opportunity to prove, not to people, but to ourselves, that Jehovah's counsel is real and practical. The road ahead would test that faith in ways we could never have imagined. Financial struggles, health scares, and family tensions waited just beyond the horizon. Yet the seeds of trust we planted in those early days were already taking root. I once believed that the biggest test of marriage would be the wedding preparations, or learning to share a small space. But the real test came later, suddenly and sharply, when life delivered its first storm. Marcus and I had settled into a modest apartment in Dayton, Ohio. Our days were filled with field service, evening family worship, and quiet balcony tea times. Life felt steady and bright. Then, only 9 months into our marriage, everything shifted. One Tuesday afternoon, Marcus came home far earlier than usual. He set his work bag down and sat heavily on the edge of the couch. "They're downsizing," he said, voice low. Today was my last day. My heart dropped. Rent was due soon, and our health insurance was tied to his job. I tried to smile, but fear pressed in. What if we can't keep up? What if this breaks us? Even as my thoughts raced, a verse we'd read that very morning came back like a warm blanket. Throw all your anxiety on him, because he cares for you. 1 Peter 5 verse 7. We held hands and prayed aloud, our words simple and unpolished. We begged Jehovah to give us courage and clear direction. Peace didn't erase the problem, but it settled our hearts enough to think straight. The outside voices began almost immediately. My mother called often, her concern tinged with quiet disapproval. "Rachel, maybe if Marcus had focused more on building his career and less on all those meetings, this wouldn't have happened." A cousin sent a blunt text. "Still think that marriage will last? Reality check, girl." Even some neighbors advised, maybe pause the church activities until you're financially secure. Each comment stung. At night, Marcus and I lay awake staring at the ceiling, each of us trying not to burden the other with the full weight of our worry. Yet deep inside, we kept circling back to one choice. We would hold fast to Jehovah's direction, not panic-driven advice. That decision shaped everything. Instead of scaling back spiritually to hunt for work, we kept our congregation schedule. We still prepared for and attended every meeting. We still went out in the ministry, even when it meant spending money on gas we could barely spare. From the outside, it may have looked irresponsible, but every time we stepped into the kingdom hall or knocked on a door, the anxiety loosened its grip. Philippians 4 verses 6-7 became a living reality. Do not be anxious over anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication along with thanksgiving let your petitions be made known to God, and the peace of God that surpasses all understanding will guard your hearts and your mental powers by means of Christ Jesus. That peace wasn't just an idea, it was a quiet strength that kept us calm when logic said we should be frantic. Each evening we anchored ourselves with family worship. We studied accounts of faithful servants who trusted Jehovah under extreme strain. Joseph in prison, the widow of Zarephath who used her last bit of flour for Elijah. One night we read Psalm 37 verse 25. I have not seen anyone righteous left entirely, nor his children looking for bread. Marcus closed his Bible and said softly, Jehovah sees us, Rach. He won't let us down. Those moments didn't make the bills disappear, but they steadied our hearts and drew us closer, not just to Jehovah, but to each other. Jehovah's care often came through our congregation. Brother Harris, the elder who had advised us before marriage, discreetly slipped Marcus an envelope after a midweek meeting. Inside was a grocery card and a note, from someone who knows Jehovah always provides. Sister Elaine left a pot of homemade chili on our doorstep with a simple text, thinking of you tonight. Another couple quietly shared a job lead. None of these gestures were flashy, but each one felt like Jehovah's personal reassurance. You are not forgotten. Weeks of searching and praying finally led to a call from a local sign-making company. Marcus went for the interview with a letter of recommendation from a brother who worked there. When they offered him a position, he called me from the parking lot. They want me to start Monday. I could hardly speak. Tears came, tears of gratitude more than relief. That evening we read Psalm 34 verse 8 together. Taste and see that Jehovah is good. Happy is the man who takes refuge in him. It felt as if those words had been written for that very moment. The new job turned out to be more than employment. The flexible schedule allowed us to begin auxiliary pioneering sooner than we had ever thought possible. Looking back, I can trace Jehovah's fingerprints in places we might have overlooked during the panic. Spiritual protection, meetings, and ministry provided exactly the counsel and comfort we needed at just the right times. Practical care. The congregation truly became family, fulfilling Jesus' promise at Mark 10 verses 29 to 30 that those who leave things for the sake of the kingdom gain brothers and sisters many times over. Marital growth. We learned to pray before difficult conversations, to speak gently when fear tempted us to snap, and to face hardship as a united team. Ironically, the very struggles people predicted would end our marriage, financial pressure, family criticism, became the tools Jehovah used to make our bond stronger. Months later, at a family dinner, one of my skeptical aunts leaned close and said quietly, "You two actually look happier now than when you got married. What's your secret?" I smiled and answered simply, "Jehovah keeps his promises." She didn't argue, and I didn't need to say more. The change she saw was testimony enough. The storm that once threatened to drown us slowly gave way to calmer skies. Life didn't become effortless, but we could feel Jehovah's steady hand leading us forward. And as the months turned into years, something remarkable began to unfold. Those who once predicted our downfall started coming closer, drawn not to us, but to the quiet strength Jehovah had provided. Marcus thrived at the sign-making company. The flexible hours allowed us to pioneer together several months each year, something we had only dreamed of during our engagement. Our home, a modest two-bedroom house on the edge of Dayton, became a haven of peace. The evenings were filled with laughter, Bible study, and the occasional smell of my favorite cinnamon bread rising in the oven. Finances were no longer a daily crisis. We still lived simply, but now we could replace the threadbare couch, host congregation friends, and set aside a small fund for emergencies. Every improvement felt like an answered prayer. Yet even more rewarding than the comfort of stability was the deep spiritual growth that came from weathering storms together. Marcus and I had learned to pray as one, to lean on Scripture first and opinion second, and to keep kindness at the center of every conversation. What once felt like survival had turned into something richer, a marriage defined by trust in Jehovah, not by circumstances. That quiet transformation didn't go unnoticed. One autumn weekend, my mother visited. She walked slowly through our living room, touching the framed wedding photo on the wall and glancing at the well-worn Bibles on the coffee table. "You two seem happy," she said, her voice softer than I'd heard in years. "Really happy. I don't know many couples who look at each other like that after all this time." It wasn't a full apology for the doubts she'd voiced years earlier, but it was a doorway opening. I smiled and simply said, "It's Jehovah's way of keeping us close. We could never have done this alone." She didn't argue. Instead, she sat with us for dinner and even joined our short evening worship. As Marcus read a passage from Psalm 127, "Unless Jehovah builds the house, it is in vain that its builders work hard on it," my mother listened quietly, eyes thoughtful. Soon other relatives who had once mocked us began to reach out. My cousin, the same one who had texted reality check, "Girl," sent a message late one evening. "Hey Rach, I've been struggling in my relationship. How do you and Marcus keep things so peaceful?
Can we talk?"
I stared at the screen for a long time before replying with warmth and a silent prayer for wisdom. Our conversation turned into a Bible discussion that stretched late into the night. She admitted, "I used to think you were wasting your life with all that church stuff. but whatever you have, it works. I need to understand it. Another time, Marcus's brother, once the loudest critic, asked to join us for a Sunday meeting. I just want to see what it's like, he said casually, though his eyes betrayed deeper curiosity. Soon our living room became more than a place for tea and conversation. It became a quiet classroom for Bible truth. My cousin and I started a regular Bible study every Wednesday evening. We used the Enjoy Life Forever brochure, exploring scriptures she'd never really read before. Marcus studied with his brother on Saturday mornings. They tackled questions about marriage, purpose, and why Jehovah allows suffering. Sometimes their sessions stretched into long, heartfelt prayers that left them both in tears. It amazed me to see Jehovah's promise in Isaiah 55 verse 11 coming alive. So my word that goes out of my mouth will be successful in what I send it to do. The very family members who once doubted our marriage were now letting the Bible heal their own hearts. One December evening, my mother joined us for the congregation's special meeting for the memorial of Jesus' death. Afterward, she stood quietly in the Kingdom Hall foyer, looking around at the warm conversations and gentle smiles. "This is different," she said softly. "There's real love here." Her eyes glistened. I wrapped her in a hug, silently thanking Jehovah for opening a door I could never have forced. It wasn't just about my family's interest in Bible truth. It was the realization that Jehovah had taken what was once ridicule and turned it into an invitation, a chance for them to taste the same comfort and guidance we had relied on. As we deepened our service, Marcus and I also found joy in pioneering side by side. Whether in the icy Ohio winter or the humid summer months, we shared countless mornings in the ministry, encouraging others with scriptures that had strengthened us during the job loss and long nights of worry. Sometimes we met couples whose marriages were barely holding together. It felt humbling to sit across from them and say, "Jehovah's wisdom can give you strength you didn't think you had," knowing those words weren't theory. They were our life. What amazed us most was how our once skeptical relatives started speaking well of our marriage even outside our presence. A neighbor told us, "Your mom always talks about how strong your marriage is. She says she wants what you have." Another relative joked at a family barbecue, "These two are the example now. If you want to know how to stay married, ask them." We didn't beam with pride. We simply marveled at how Jehovah had flipped the narrative. As Proverbs 3 verse 6 promised, "In all your ways take notice of him, and he will make your paths straight." He truly had. By our 10th anniversary, Marcus and I sometimes sat on our porch swing reflecting on the path Jehovah had carved for us. We had started with whispers of doom ringing in our ears. "It won't last a year. Real life will break you." But now those same voices were asking for prayer, seeking Bible guidance, and even attending meetings with us. Jehovah had not merely silenced our critics. He had turned some into fellow worshipers. 15 years have passed since Marcus and I stood before Jehovah and pledged our love. When I look back now, I almost can't believe how far he has carried us. The girl who once trembled at relatives' warnings now speaks from a place of quiet strength. The man who once came home jobless and weary now serves with joy and confidence. Through every high and low, Jehovah's promises have proven stronger than fear, stronger than doubt, and stronger than the loudest voices against us. When people ask what our secret is, I smile because I know it isn't really a secret at all. It is the simple, steady pattern Jehovah teaches in His Word. Daily prayer together. No matter how tired we were, we prayed together. Even brief, heartfelt prayers built a wall of peace around our marriage. Bible principles first. From decisions about finances to disagreements about chores, we looked for a Bible principle before offering personal opinions. Passages like Ephesians 4 verse 26, "Be wrathful, but do not sin. Do not let the sun set while you are still angry," saved us from days of silent resentment. Congregation support. We let the congregation family into our struggles. They weren't just friends. They were a lifeline Jehovah used to carry us. Looking back, it's easy to see how those habits turned storms into stepping stones. But at the time, it was simply about trusting that Jehovah knew better than we did. The blessings that came were more than financial or material. Yes, we eventually bought a little home with a sunlit porch and a vegetable garden, and yes, we became regular pioneers together. But the deeper blessing was what happened inside us. Trials that could have hardened our hearts instead softened them. We learned to forgive quickly, to speak kindly, to laugh even when money was tight, and to give when others were in need. Marcus often says, Jehovah didn't just hold us together. He reshaped us so we would fit together better.
And he's right.
The hardships refined us, like silver in a furnace, until what remained was stronger and purer than when we began. Perhaps the sweetest surprise has been watching others draw closer to Jehovah because of what they saw in our marriage. My cousin, the one who once texted that cutting reality check girl, now conducts her own Bible study and attends meetings regularly. She often says, I wanted what you had, and I finally found where it came from. Marcus's brother now serves as an unbaptized publisher and is working toward baptism. Even my mother, who once worried Marcus was too serious, now joins us for assemblies and has begun to pray on her own. One day she said quietly, I used to think your life was too small. Now I see it's bigger than anything I imagined. Every time Looking back over these years, Marcus and I often reflect on what Jehovah's guidance has taught us. Some lessons stand out as pillars. 1. Jehovah's timing is perfect. From the last-minute job offer to relatives' hearts softening at just the right moment, everything unfolded according to his timetable, not ours. 2. Spiritual habits guard the heart. Meetings, ministry, and family worship weren't extras. They were the very means Jehovah used to keep us strong. 3. Love deepens through trials. Hard times didn't pull us apart, they pressed us closer. What others predicted would break us became the very tools Jehovah used to weld us together. These aren't theories. They are truths tested in real life, proven in the crucible of everyday struggles. People sometimes remark on the peace they feel when they visit our home. We always tell them it isn't from perfect personalities or luck. It's the result of inviting Jehovah into every corner of our lives. From our first uncertain year to this 15th anniversary, His Word has been the foundation beneath every decision and every reconciliation. The marriage that many said wouldn't survive a year has become a testimony to the strength of Matthew 19 verse 6. What God has yoked together, let no man put apart. Dear friend, maybe you are reading or listening and facing your own storm. Perhaps people doubt your marriage, your faith, or your ability to hold on. Maybe financial troubles or family opposition feel heavier than you can carry. Let our journey reassure you. Jehovah sees you. He hears every midnight prayer. He knows every hidden tear. And He will act in ways you cannot yet imagine. Isaiah 41 verse 10 has been our anchor and can be yours too. Do not be afraid, for I am with you. Do not be anxious, for I am your God. I will fortify you, yes, I will help you. I will really hold on to you with my right hand of righteousness. If you stay close to Jehovah, through prayer, Bible reading, and the loving support of the congregation, He will not let you fall. He may not remove every difficulty instantly, but He will give you the strength, peace, and unexpected help you need. They said our marriage wouldn't last a year. They were sure that hardship, poverty, or sheer exhaustion would tear us apart. But Jehovah proved them wrong. He not only preserved our marriage, He transformed it into something richer and stronger than we ever imagined. He turned mockers into students of His Word. He turned trials into stepping stones. And He turned two imperfect people into partners who know, beyond any doubt, that Jehovah's promise never fails. So wherever you are, whatever storm you face, hold tight to Jehovah's hand. Trust Him when the voices around you say it's impossible. Because when Jehovah builds a house, whether it's a marriage, a family, or a heart determined to stay faithful, no power on earth can pull it apart.